Hello, hello, hello again, beautiful souls and brilliant minds. Welcome to another episode of Know Your Pharmacist, the show that empowers you to take control of your health and wellness journey. I'm your host, Dr. Joaquin Acosta, CEO of Pharmtrue, and your guide through this fascinating world of healthcare technology and community. Tonight, we've got an incredible lineup that's both enlightening and captivating. We're diving deep into the front line of pharmacy, exploring the latest in health tech, and shining a spotlight on community heroes who are making a difference. Trust me, you won't want to miss a second. As a community pharmacist and a passionate advocate for wellness, I've seen firsthand the transformative power of knowledge. That's why we're here to brainstorm, to connect, and to collaborate on the most pressing health topics of our time. We're also thrilled to bring you insights from our amazing sponsors. A big shout out to Pharmtrue, High Horse Cannabis Company, the Trichome Alliance, and Vado Speedway Park for their unwavering support. They're not just sponsors, they're part of our community committed to fostering a culture of health and well-being. So everybody, grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's dive into tonight's segments from the latest COVID-19 updates, guys. COVID-19, RSV, what's going on? To the ongoing debate of cannabis and testosterone levels, we've got a lot to cover, and I promise it's going to be both productive and happy. Remember, guys, this is a two-way street. So again, I love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, questions, or even your own insights in the comments below. Let's make this a collaborative experience. And please, if I'm giving you any value, smash a like. All the engagement digitally and or physically, guys, is awesome. We love you guys. Again, let's get this thing started. Unlock it all. Starting now. All right, so first things first, check this thing out. CDC issuing again. Another alert here that on September 12th, COVID-19 manufacturers are going to actually prepare to try to roll out vaccines and the new COVID recombinant one for the fall of 2023 season. So again, guys, it's a big thing that we want to take a look at because cases of illness are starting to rise again. And it's not to sit here and talk about how we're going to go back to masking and these other things, but really it's just to let everybody know that, yes, we are in the middle of, we are in the beginning of what's about to be the trifecta virus season, guys. Again, flu, COVID, and RSV is like truly not a joke, right? It's going to be a pain in the butt for every single person that gets it. And again, our most vulnerable population, infants below 8 months, adults over the age of 60. Those vaccines out, ready to go. RSV already rising in 26 states. Got you right here. RSV spreading north, expected to rise here in the next 3 months. So that's where we're at right now. And what I'm saying here is the CDC just issued an alert, guys, right now, talking about pulling this up, increased respiratory syncytial virus activity in parts of the southeastern United States. How do we prevent this with patients? Just released, guys, yesterday by the CDC. I'm going to go ahead and share with you the article here. I want everybody to have a good eye on this with me. Show you guys the new updates. Get this thing on the screen. Give me 2 seconds. So, right. Again, looking at the regional increases starting to spread north and west now over the next 2 to 3 months, predicted by the CDC, talking about young infants, young children, and older adults being our most vulnerable population. Well, what can clinicians do now? Obviously, be prepared to recommend the vaccine to those that are most vulnerable, that are eligible. Again, infants and some young children. Beyfortus, So looking at the different types of vaccines that are available, guys, for RSV. And again, all infants under the age of 8 months born during or entering their first RSV season should receive 1 dose shortly before or during the RSV season within their first week of life. So again, this is a new recommendation for those going into the fall, those, correct, having even, infants born this fall. Your child should be receiving the new RSV vaccine within the first week of life. And that's, the recommendation now. Older adults, again, I know 60 is the new 30, but again, the CDC recommends that adults at ages 60 years and older may receive a single dose of RSV vaccine, either product, using shared clinical decision-making to prevent RSV-associated lower respiratory tract disease. So again, guys, things that are worth getting this fall, RSV, waiting for the new updated COVID vaccine. It's not out yet. You're going to see more information after September 12th, but the flu shot within the next month for sure. Still a little hot, but if I were going to go first on anything, I'd say if you're, in the infant less than the age of 8 months age, you should definitely be getting that RSV vaccine if you haven't gotten it already. If you're an older adult over the age of 60, go get that RSV vaccine. Things you can get as well, shingles vaccine, pneumonia vaccine. In the meantime, make sure you're all covered up for winter, which is coming. And again, guys, COVID hospitalizations are going up around the nation right now. They do continue to rise week after week, and we are not the most affected side of the country yet down here in New Mexico. We haven't had a huge change in admissions. New Mexico hasn't been huge. Overall, New Mexico, I think, in their archives here shows, just to confirm, and I'll just share this with you guys just so you guys see what I'm reading off the DOH. Last updated 8/25 through 8/31 in the last 7 days in New Mexico reported 916 cases. So again, the rates have trended up over that time. As you can see, hospitalizations slowly trend up, and we're just going to get colder. So that's where you're at. I mean, 1,000 cases in New Mexico all of a sudden, easily when you go back to school, when you're looking at Labor Day, families connecting, traveling, this, that, and the other, 1,000 can easily turn into 10,000. So where you look at COVID cases and things like that, guys, just keep that in mind. Again, I would still hang tight on the vaccine until the new booster comes out. Sometime after September 12th, they're going to pull the, let it out. But, what we do know right now is that, yes, around the country, COVID hospitalizations do continue to still rise. And we also have the incoming RSV season and flu season. So without a scare tactic, it's just a prepare tactic. Hey, we're in September. It's a perfect time to just be a little bit aware that this is all kind of happening. How can you get yourself the most prepared? Especially our most vulnerable. Let's get them, especially prepared, especially while you have the time now. You don't want to play the reactive games. And that's what we're getting at is, again, RSV vaccines, flu vaccines, hang tight within the next month. If you go get it right now, go get it. That's fine. I would still try to hang tight just a little longer, okay? But RSV vaccines, if you're in the age less than 8 months, over 60, go update shingles, pneumonia, shingles over 50, pneumonia. You can be above the age of 18 if you're a smoker, asthmatic, diabetic. You can get a pneumonia shot. Otherwise, adults over 65 should have at least 2. So, again, talk to your providers, talk to your pharmacies, nurses, Department of Health. They will get you all triaged the way you need to go. I just want to make sure that we got all the information, shared properly and accordingly. Cool. So that is our Pharmacist Frontline segment, guys. Thank you very much. Celebrating Pharmtrue, our esteemed sponsor of the Pharmacist Frontline segment. Pharmtrue, more than just a pharmacy, it's a beacon of innovation quality, providing pharmacist-formulated cannabis products since 2019. With a commitment to education, trusted, safe, well-designed solutions, Pharmtrue is empowering wellness through community-driven healthcare. Join them in their journey to a healthier future, celebrating 1 year since our appeal victory, which we'll talk about later. Very cool. Anyways, moving on to our next segment, Tech Talk. Talking about cold and flu season, guys, talking some technologies that are top of mind to keep in the, updated portion of your closet, and you don't have to do it without breaking the bank. And that's where I'm talking about thermometers, everybody. Do you have a thermometer at home? Is it functional? Or are you going to be that person that has to go buy one when they're all out and it's only the $50 thermometers left when everybody has the cold and the flu? So that's what we're talking about. I'm going to share this with you right here. Give me 2 seconds. Looking at an article I like, 6 best thermometers of 2023. Looking at these, I liked it because check out these. I mean, you can see these prices when you're shopping them. Amazon available ones. Very nice non-contact touchless thermometers on Amazon for $7.49, guys. You can get the Kinsa Smart, which is going to be probably about the, best technological option that you're going to find here. It syncs with the phone. It's, it's a smart thermometer for $24.97 on Amazon. So again, I'll share the link with you guys here in the chat just so you can see, but might as well make sure that you're all stocked up for the cold and flu season. Especially, you're looking at $7.49 with the complaint being bulky buttons. Give me a break. I'll pay whatever for those bulky buttons at $7.49 for the touchless. And again, sometimes Amazon has better deals than you're going to see in other places. Bang for your buck, $7. Not bad. The only reason people avoid it are because of the buttons on side instead of the front or bulky. But non-contact thermometer at $7 on Amazon, I mean, you don't need it now. You can wait the 2 days to do $7, or you're going to pay, again, $50 whenever, it's you, your child, your family member, so on and so forth that needs that thermometer, and your old outdated one, or you lost it, or whatever it was from last season isn't there. I'm just giving you options, guys. That's all we got to do. $7 thermometers, great idea. There's other tech and things like that I was wanting to share a little bit, but it's nothing you can get yet. Something that I'm talking about that's coming out very soon once it does get funding. It's an app called Fever Phone. And this is developed by the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine. So very, very interesting, but they were able to turn a smartphone into a fever detector, and they actually got it like testing whatever range that they needed to pass for that. And it's pretty cool. So hopefully this comes out in the near future where, again, in the future, perhaps smartphones will actually be able to detect fevers. And granted, University of Washington Fever Phone created the app already, but you can't download it yet on the App Store. It's not available yet. They're trying to get funding. Very cool, though. The Apple Watch already is trying to get to that point of detecting temperatures and their features and things like that. But where does this stand for technology to end up in the future? It's good to know. So very cool. And so I think, bottom line at the end of the day, make sure you're prepared with thermometers, guys. Easy to say, it's cold and flu season coming up. There's already cases that are going around in little pockets of people, especially coming back after the holiday, guys, Labor Day, people traveling all over the place. That's a good way for things to move. Right now in the country, most things are concentrated to Florida and the Southeast, but it's all going to come west eventually. Get it, got it, good? All right, moving on. Enlightenment Hour, guys, talking a little bit more about stress management, especially when it comes to cold and flu season, everybody. There is, again, research just like on anything, what happens, right, to the body, especially during, times of illness. Our mindset when it has come to, viruses, especially the coronavirus following the 2019 pandemic, has created a strange situation to look at, the concerns that stressing about being sick causes on top of, right, the actual sickness itself. So, interesting study here looking at, evaluating those who were at higher risk in COVID to stress, looked at some of the interventional methods, and I'm going to pull this up right here. And guys, there's plenty of different, amounts of data, and this is just what I want to share with you right now. That's what I liked. So stress, health, and the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. So looking at this, there were obviously our ripple effects of what sort of stresses came from the collateral damages of lockdown. Not only, right, business closures, loss of job, loss of income, death of family, loss of, whatever things that were happening, there were consequences there. And, it's interesting to see what comes out of a time of adversity, because you really have to start dialing into, unconventional methods. And maybe the United States has not necessarily thought about like mindset when it comes to illness and things so much before, but, where you start looking at prolonged exposure to stress arising from the crisis, having long-term health effects, including increased risk of physical chronic disease risk and mental depression, anxiety disorders, PTSD, health problems, impaired cognitive function, and reduced productivity and absenteeism in the workplace. Very interesting, right? Like, we are barely in 2023. COVID-19 still kind of exists. Some of these prolonged stresses are things that people are still working on releasing now. So again, what does that mean? How can you do a better job at that? Well, looking at reappraisal strategies and stress management here. Talking about stress management strategies that focus on stress reappraisal may be a promising approach. And again, we've talked about this a little bit before about, transforming a mindset into, can you see stress as an enhancer, right? The good old fashioned, right, United States military, saying what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But, time and time again, this continues to come up and be a proof, a proof of concept, where you're looking at stress reappraisal. So where you're going to, right, reappraise the stress. So increasing evidence, again, suggests that individuals' beliefs about stress play an important role on their capacity to cope effectively with stress and mitigate maladaptive stress-related outcomes. Many models of stress, such as the transactional model of stress and coping, the psychosocial model of stress, and the stress optimization model, suggest that stress appraisals and mindsets are central to determining whether individuals' responses to stressors are adaptive and lead to effective coping, or maladaptive and lead to ineffective coping and compromise health and functioning. Key prediction of these theories is that individuals who appraise stress as challenging as opposed to threatening and hold beliefs that stress can be enhancing and facilitate pursuit of valued goals as opposed to debilitating and suboptimal goal pursuit cope more effectively and exhibit better outcomes, which obviously makes sense to that, when you really think about that. But sometimes people think, hey, why did this person get through this better than I did, or whatever that effect or that thought concept might be. But maybe that person, was translating and reappraising that stress about the illness differently than somebody else was. And when you look at, probably not so much anymore, but back during the pandemic, every single headline on the phone or on the TV was talking about COVID-19. So the stress of, oh my gosh, I have COVID-19 was a different kind of stress than most humans were used to having when it comes to, getting sick. So, perhaps that added stress factor could have even, contributed to some of the, worst outcomes that even occurred. And, where we don't have necessarily the full entire chain of evidence on that, it's just something to think about, again, going into our trifecta cold and flu season here, that, how can you train yourself to have a better approach to stress, to mindset of stress? How can you reappraise your stress and, hold a stress as enhancing mindset view as stress as enhancing consequences on functioning, performance, and health, contrasted with a stress as debilitating mindset, which showing stress having debilitated consequences on outcomes. So again, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is a method of stress reappraisal. And there are some of these terms that have been coined, and guys, forgive me for going all the way out there and saying things like toxic masculinity are, out there almost, misused in some functions. And maybe that's one of those ways that can be manipulated, because having a positive mindset leads to better outcomes in pretty much any single human programming that exists. You're going to win that over time, compounding interest on your life of a positive mindset. Is the power of positive returns on that is phenomenal versus, translating the worst out of it. And that's hard to, get people to reappraise those things. But where can you look at that a little proactively on, hey, how do I look at stress? How can I, take one stressful thing and try to reorient, build that resilience towards stress, right? You can really, really, do some damage on both sides, positive damage and negative damage. All worth thinking about, because it can help. And we get so, lathered in stressful headlines, stressful media, stressful life, stressful bills, whatever that may be. all of that turns into, compounding against you. If you're stressed out about something, you forget something else, you miss things, you can really compound negatively there, and your health will get looped up into that tornado. And it's worth talking about. So very good. That's our Enlightenment Hour. Thank you guys very, very much. Moving on. Going to do a little shout out today. September 6, 2023. Herbal Wellness Corner. So Pharmtrue celebrated our historic win. Guys, we won our city council appeal last year this day. As part of our mission, right? We were trying to open up our dispensary and our manufacturing operation right there next to a school in our property downtown. We had, I think, about a 6-month process of having to, a 9-month journey. So we had to submit our initial, application to get our business license to the city of Las Cruces on, January of last year, 2022. And then, it wasn't till April till we had to go and try to get our variance request against the Planning and Zoning Committee with the city to try to see if we can operate a cannabis business where we had our building, right? That building was a very, very key factor in our appeal in our initial variance, because it was a family heirloom that had to be preserved, and we're not we're not moving it for nothing. So again, let's bring cannabis to downtown, and that's where we were at. Pharmtrue started in 2019 as a hemp company in response to the 2019 Farm Bill. And 2019 Farm Bill commercialized, agricultural commodity as industrial hemp, which just so happens to be a lower concentration of THC, right, than a CBD plant. And with that, it was a very long journey ahead of us, because we wanted to grow hemp. We grew 20 acres of hemp inside of a hemp field in Garfield, New Mexico, up, right there in the Hatch Valley. And we had different plans for it, and we had no idea what we were jumping into, right? So we ended up with a giant amount of hemp oil, after that we weren't selling commercially. We just had in storage, and we needed to start making, products, because as pharmacists, right, that was the value that we could actually see ourselves giving in the cannabis industry, whether it was hemp or cannabis at the time. And so that began, our process of formulating products, trying out CBD products in the local farmers market with, pitching a tent and doing the whole 9 yards right there on the property for, where we did our appeal, which we won a year ago and we're celebrating. So it was a wonderful day. We did that paperwork initially in January of last year. We went up against our Planning and Zoning Committee in April of last year in a heated battle against the, religious picketers, no offense, that were very cannabis confused and definitely a very misorganized and misrepresented situation where we lost big and ugly. And so we were not able, we were not granted the permission to operate our cannabis business, whether it was manufacturing or dispensary retail downtown, where we had just renovated our entire property to not only build the pharmacy that is Mesilla Valley Pharmacy right now, and, our hemp manufacturing lab and our dispensary, which was at that time just to promote, again, our hemp products and things like that, but it was a big part of the brand. And so We were told no in April of last year, and we were like, wow, this is insane. So we had to appeal. All of our wonderful community down there helped us to put an appeal. That the appeal was getting escalated to Las Cruces City Council, which took another 5 months to get on the schedule. So during that time, we had literally hundreds of our patients that, signed our petition, signed our letters, wrote to their city council members, really started to participate to help us get our historic win last year at this time. And it was, amazing. We were super thankful for the opportunity that, our city council granted us that day. And that's why we got to come out here and celebrate that moment today. Last year at this time, all summer long, guys, if you did know me, gosh, I was hustling all those forms, all that stuff. That was our 110% push, was come help us win this appeal. And again, I told myself, if we win, I'm going to spend the entire next amount of time giving back, because, I spent a lot of time asking for a lot from everybody to support our cause over all last, spring, summer, into the fall, right? To support us doing something that was never done before. We put a pharmacy into a dispensary. We did both. We opened up successful businesses of both, built them both. And, we were asking a lot from our community to step up behind us, to support us. And part of even the existence of this live stream coming into this year, guys, is, the gratitude behind all the support that we had from our customers, our patients, everybody, within the city limits. That's how we even first ever got to know everybody at High Horse Cannabis Company. Came out of nowhere, right? Like the ancient Romans, to come and help us appeal that day. And they gave some great testimonials to the city council, had some valuable insights, showed us a different type of engagement within the cannabis industry. And those guys, hustle hard and do so much. And that's why I'm so honored to be working, for them and with them now. Right. And that's, it's amazing to see how far everything has come and where even the cannabis industry is, because at some point in the world, there was this, crazy little company called Pharmtrue that opened up the first ever dispensary inside of a retail pharmacy in downtown Las Cruces, and we ain't ever going anywhere. That's what we're here for. So celebrating that a year later, hope that we continue to add value with you guys. Very thankful for everybody who turned up and supported with us. Gosh, that was a crazy memory. I'm glad, that got taken care of. And I'm going to show a flashback here, right out as soon as we get out of our Herbal Wellness Corner for our community spotlight, to again spotlight, City Councilor Johanna Bencomo. We'll show her words, her, amazing words that she talked about when it came to trauma and substance abuse. It's very, very powerful and moving. And we've showed this clip before. It means a lot to us, but want to make sure that this gets out there, because again, this was a historic day. This appeal, we literally won 6-0. The city council literally won 6-0. In favor of us. And we had, a school, a principal, the whole thing next to us appealing. It got kind of ugly. All of it's public record, but we're not here to talk about that. We came out on top that day, and we are so thankful, and that's what we're here to talk about. So again, showing you guys this clip. Give me 2 seconds. And I will absolutely be voting for Councilor Bencomo again. This woman is awesome.
Trauma, whatever it is treated. Often what has worked best for people is cannabis. What has been able to give people a thriving life after, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, has been cannabis. So I just wanted to point that out, that it's actually trauma. That's the gateway to any abuse. I think if we continue, and somebody said it brilliantly, and I just want to echo it, that if we continue to make it harder for the legal industry to be successful, the black market will continue to thrive. And that is actually what we are all up against. Also, what I've noticed here today is, I knew this was true, but today just clicked so well, how much we have normalized alcohol in our society and in our community, given that many of the people that came here and spoke today for concern for children, for concern for our community, there are 5 liquor licenses in this area with patios, open patios, that have open access to the sale and consumption of liquor, which is actually incredibly dangerous to not just children, but adults, particularly when we are driving behind the wheel, which happens all of the time in New Mexico. As we move forward, I would love to continue hearing from LCPD about any of the data points that we are getting in terms of DUIs solely off of cannabis, and some of the education that the city will be doing with the community. But I just wanted to name those couple of those things that I noticed from this conversation, because, and I also, just to the school directly, my vote here today does not signify that I don't deeply care about the services you provide to our community. I absolutely do. I think New America, Las Montañas charter schools are actually some of the most powerful schools here in our community, because they are serving a population of kids that have experienced stigma, that have experienced being marginalized. And they're some of the places that I love going to the most, because I relate to those kids so much. And so I don't want you to think that I don't care about your school. I absolutely do. I just also deeply care about the conversation we've had here today. And if there was any variance to be granted, I am not scared of any precedent, because this is a pharmacy. This is a pharmacy, right? And we see them all of the time, and I want to support particularly local businesses helping our downtown thrive, right? We have a lot of places downtown where we have a TID that are nonprofits, that are churches, that are schools, right? And those are important and good, and not always in support of the mission of a TID, for example. And so I want to make sure that we are in support of all of those. And I really do hope and encourage both of you to sit down together after this and really try to work.
All right, so that's why Councilor Bencomo gets today's community spotlight. She's hit it 2 times for us already, but she gets it. She totally gets it. She had our back this day on a year ago when we made history as America's first ever dispensary to reside inside of a retail pharmacy, having to literally go into the belly of the beast and all the way out, 2 appeals to make this happen. Guys, there's been like over 100 variances granted on cannabis. None of them had to get appealed to city council. And somehow the pharmacy had to do this. Pharmacy guys. And that's why we went and swept, because, guys, it just doesn't make sense. Nobody else is doing this. And our pharmacist-formulated products, everything that there is to stand behind when it comes to medical cannabis and the war on opioids and the pharmacist intervention there, guys, it's all there, and it all means something. And it's all still going to be there, and that's why we're here, and we're going to stay there. Always. Cool. So shout out. Community spotlight, guys. Shouting out to the Trichome Alliance. Join them at the Butt Cancer Gala. Again, popping up the QR code right here on the top left corner of your screen to get those tickets for the gala, our Butt Cancer Gala on September 21st, 2023 at Amador Live. An unforgettable Italian-style dinner and a dinner play. You're going to need a password to get in. 1920s themed, Gatsby themed. Get looking good, get looking spiffy. Again, right up there, QR code. Get those ticks. Sweet. So last thing, guys, Men's Health Minute. Something to debate. How does cannabis affect testosterone levels? And again, you see a little bit of the, pros and the cons there. And some people might even consider this a debated topic, right? It's been on one side a fear-mongering directive towards athletes that it's going to mess up your recovery, it's going to mess up, right, this, that, and the other, and testosterone being a part of that. So I wanted to go ahead and, shine light on this, guys, for Men's Health Minute today. Current evidence is currently inconclusive to confirm the exact effect of cannabis and cannabinoids on male hormonal levels. Some studies show that it helps testosterone. Some studies shows that it hurts testosterone. Some studies show that it, messes up estrogens or gonadotropins. But again, a lot of confounding data there, not enough big clinical data to see how, our endocannabinoid system plays a role in our hormonal functions and how cannabis as an input, right, affects that. Things that we do know incredibly affect your hormonal functions, the amount of sleep that you get, how happy you are, how much stress that you have. And, cannabis doesn't work for all people in those departments, but it might. And so, right, when you're looking at a risk benefit of, hey, is cannabis affecting my workouts? Is cannabis affecting, right, my ability to, do muscle, do fat, this, that, and the other? Well, the data's not there for you to say one thing or the other. So whether you've, created some perception on yourself that, hey, cannabis hurts my workouts or cannabis, hurts my testosterone, then you're already creating a negative feedback loop just by the basis of mindset. And again, if it works for you, there's nothing that you need to do to change your pace. There's nothing that you need to do to suggest one way or another right now. And it's really more about exploring what works for people, knowing that, our biggest enemy is against stress and how we let that affect us. And right, there's a lot of internal work that can be done there without having to use cannabis, right? And that's totally okay. So, that's our Men's Health Minute today. Hope that's worthy to everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day. Happy Wednesday, September 6, 2023. Make sure to get those gala tickets, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace. Dr. Baines out.